Have you ever heard of a fuel that produces no carbon dioxide at all? A fuel that, when used, creates nothing but water. It sounds almost too good to be true, and yet this is exactly the promise of green hydrogen. But here's the real question. Is green hydrogen truly the future of clean energy? Or is it just another overhyped idea? In the last video, we explored how hydrogen can be produced in many different ways. Some methods rely on fossil fuels, others try to reduce emissions, but green hydrogen stands apart because in theory, it can be produced with almost zero carbon emissions. And that makes it one of the most talked about energy technologies today. So how do we actually produce green hydrogen? The answer is surprisingly simple. We start with water, then we pass an electric current through it in a device called an electrolyzer. This process is known as electrolysis. The electricity splits the water molecule, H2O, into hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen gas is collected, and oxygen is released as a byproduct. Now here's the key part. If the electricity comes from renewable sources, like solar panels, wind turbines, or hydropower, then the entire process becomes almost carbon-free. In other words, we are turning clean electricity into clean fuel. So why is this such a big deal? Because some parts of our world are extremely difficult to decarbonize. Take heavy industry. Producing steel, for example, traditionally requires coal, and that means large carbon emissions. But hydrogen can replace coal in certain processes, making steel production significantly cleaner. Now think about transportation. Electric batteries work well for cars, but for long-distance shipping, aviation, or heavy-duty trucks, batteries become too heavy and inefficient. Hydrogen, on the other hand, can store much more energy per kilogram, and that makes it a strong candidate for powering the hardest sectors to electrify. There's also energy storage. Renewable energy is not constant. The sun doesn't always shine, the wind doesn't always blow, but with green hydrogen, we can store excess energy and use it later when we need it. In a way, hydrogen becomes a large-scale energy storage system. But here's the reality. Green hydrogen is not perfect. In fact, it faces several major challenges. First, efficiency. Every time we convert energy from electricity to hydrogen and back to electricity, we lose energy. In total, a significant portion is wasted. Second, cost. Electrolyzers are expensive, and renewable electricity, although getting cheaper, is still not available everywhere at large scale. Third, infrastructure. Hydrogen is difficult to store and transport. It is a very light molecule and requires special systems to handle safely. And finally, we simply don't have enough renewable energy yet to produce green hydrogen at the scale we would need. So, does that mean green hydrogen won't work? Not necessarily. In fact, the opposite may be true. Around the world, investments in green hydrogen are growing rapidly. New electrolyzer technologies are being developed. Costs are slowly decreasing, and entire regions are planning hydrogen-based energy systems, from Europe to the Middle East to Australia. Countries are racing to become leaders in this field. The transition won't happen overnight, but step by step, the technology is improving. So where does that leave us? Green hydrogen is not a magic solution. It won't replace everything, but it offers something unique. It can store renewable energy, it can power heavy industry, and it can help solve problems that electricity alone cannot. The future of energy will likely be a combination of renewables, batteries, and hydrogen. And green hydrogen may become one of the key pieces of that puzzle. Not perfect, not simple, but possibly essential.